Becky, our Community Affairs Manager, and we first want to thank you for your service rather, to Pinellas County and to the state of Florida. Most of you know Healthy Start is a statewide maternal child health program that was enacted through legislation passed in 1991. We focus on mom having a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. We want to reduce preterm birth, low birth weight babies, and infant mortality rate, which is death of babies before they reach the age of 1. Since that legislation has been enacted, Florida's infant mortality rate has come down by about 35%. We know, obviously, that legislation played a role in decreasing that. That means, since that legislation was passed, 750 babies in the state of Florida live to celebrate their first birthday. In Pinellas County, that means about 30 babies. So we know we've made a difference in the state of Florida. In Pinellas last year, our coalition served more than 11,500 moms, dads, and newborns. 93% of the pregnant women in Pinellas County get screened for Healthy Start. 98% of the babies get screened for Healthy Start. And that screening really looks at mom and baby's risk factors for health and developmental issues. And it also is the gateway to other services, not just Healthy Start. And in fact, for every dollar in general revenue that we are funded through the Department of Health, we leverage an additional $3.50 in additional funding as matched to those funds from the state of Florida. And our coalition provides employment for 40 full-time employees throughout the county. This year, unfortunately, this week rather, we found out that in the Florida Departments of Health budget exercise in case of a revenue shortfall, that they have put $20 million in general revenue up for potential cuts. That would effectively eliminate the Healthy Start system of care and services across the state, and it would also impact the projects we have that look at the infant deaths across the state to understand what's going on in our local communities and develop prevention efforts. So we know this is early, it's a budget exercise. We certainly hope there will not be a revenue shortfall this year for the state, but we do ask that if there is, that you do not balance the budget on the back of Florida's babies, and help us preserve the intent and scope of the Healthy Start legislation as we celebrate our 25th year, and support us in our effort to continue to help Florida's babies thrive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 19, representing Dyslexia Matters Pinellas. And I'll let you all introduce yourself.
Good morning, legislators.
Morning.
My name is Sue Sasko. I'm here with other parents and professionals that are concerned with the lack of necessary services for students with learning disabilities, including dyslexia and dysgraphia within our public school system. Also wearing red for dyslexia awareness. Many of us are members of several grassroots dyslexia awareness groups, including Dyslexia Matters Pinellas, Dyslexia Awareness Support
Speak up just a little bit.
Florida, and Decoding Dyslexia Florida. Personally, I'm a parent of an 8-year-old who has severe dyslexia and dysgraphia and mild receptive, expressive, and pragmatic language disorders. Due to the lack of awareness and necessary services in our local public school and the amount of stress this unaddressed learning disability caused him, my son is now a student at a dyslexia specialty school. There's only one school like this in our county, and it serves only 70 students. However, dyslexia is very common. In fact, it is the most common learning disability. Dyslexia is a language-based learning disability that greatly affects the ability to learn to read. It is usually accompanied by dysgraphia, a writing disability. Dysgraphia is characterized by late determination of handedness, difficulty with producing letters with proper size and spacing, great difficulty learning spelling conventions, and getting their thoughts out on paper. But dyslexia and dysgraphia are so much more than that. We typically have difficulty with sequencing, directionality, abstract concepts, word retrieval, processing speed, working memory, pronouncing multisyllable words. Things get lost in our mental filing cabinet, and we need a lot of review to see our information. 40% of dyslexics also have dyscalculia, which is a math learning disability, and 30% have ADHD as a comorbidity. These children struggle to learn in regular classrooms, often not even receiving the necessary accommodations that would level the playing field to allow them to learn and succeed academically like their non-disabled peers. Most importantly, dyslexics need to be identified early so remediation can begin. Dyslexics require explicit, multisensory teaching methodologies. These Orton-Gillingham-based literacy therapies are proven remedial therapies and have been around since the 1920s. Yet these therapies are very rarely implemented in our public school settings. We are asking that you help us to improve the situation for our struggling learners. We need sponsors and co-sponsors to pass new legislation. We need someone to co-sponsor a dyslexia education bill with Representative Gail Harrell, similar to the ones that were presented with support last year but got stuck in appropriations. This bill will include universal screening, teacher training in dyslexia characteristics and remediation, something that's greatly lacking because they're not getting in their undergraduate education. Structured literacy mandated daily, pre-K to third grade. We would like for you to consider additional bills to address this serious need. We would like to see learning disabilities, including dyslexia, added as a qualifying condition to the Gardner Scholarship. Current tuition in a dyslexia school is $13,400 a year. The Gardner Scholarship comes closer to the actual amount needed to provide an appropriate education to moderate to profoundly dyslexic students as compared to McKay Scholarship. This would lessen the financial burden on families. We would love to see a law adding at least a handful of public schools of choice for students with dyslexia in our state, similar to what has been done with great success in Jacksonville with Grasp Academy. Dyslexic students are often retained in our public school, including but not limited to third grade high stakes testing. This is discriminatory directly against their disability. This needs to be addressed. A student who is retained is 60% more likely to drop out of school. Dyslexics are successful, productive members of society. In fact, while we are about 15% of the general population, we are overrepresented in entrepreneurship at 35%. However, we are also overrepresented in juvenile detention facilities at a staggering 60%. The opportunity is available to you, dear legislators, to see that this dire need is addressed for more positive outcomes and less tragedies. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'd like to introduce as well Jill Rogier next.
All of you plan on speaking?
Two more.
I'll be very brief. I'll be very brief. I just feel very lucky to be here today because for the past 2 years, as a parent, I have tried to figure out what is wrong with my gifted child that can't read, write, and spell and is flunking third grade. However, I come here also, I have been in education as a teacher and an administrator, also many of those years, of those 20 years in Pinellas County, and I have had zero education on dyslexia that affects 1 in 5 people. So our prison population is highly dyslexic. I come here to you today as a parent, an educator, and a member of society. Luckily I have the resources, and I had to figure out on my own, without any help through the Pinellas County Schools, how to help my child. So many students in our county aren't fortunate. So please consider.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, we're going to have to move on. I appreciate your presentation. It's a serious issue. Number 20, making your 20th anniversary appearance before the delegation, Gunter.
Good morning. Dear Chairman, Jack Latvala, legislators, ladies and gentlemen. As CEO of Skytrain Corporation, I and our consultants and patent holders use existing automated and modified technology to make greater strides in elevated commuter rail transportation. Well, my metropolitan planning organization, WALPLAC, reads 1996 to 2009, and as a Chicago-born individual, I have been in Florida about 40 years. Go Cubs. In 1997, when I was president of the Clearwater Bombers, We held national championships here. We have logged many milestones and patent claims, but like the Cubs, 2017 should be the Bay Area start of a new season. Already, the CEOs of PSTA and Heartline have scored national first, getting awards and recognition that includes integrating Uber, Lyft, and cab companies, gaining ridership and public benefits. The priority now should be to support the near billions of new airport and seaport investments added to the Vinnick Gates investments that need to be regionally connected. This has been requested by many voices in the community. Without stopping, connecting the Tampa Airport to seaports, the convention center, or Vinnick in under 15 minutes. With an automated luggage car option. Oh, yes, airport to Ray Stadium, 30 minutes. We are available to elaborate on unique features shown by our shareware app that proves STC's superior structure for loading, and it can go twice as fast compared to the limiting speed of that grade rail around the curve. With our system, we save 80% of the energy over rubber-tired vehicles, and we have a select U.S. team and shops that have worked with us for nearly 2 decades, offering sophisticated electric vehicles to do this purpose. We need a political option, a Bay Area team to funnel the automotive fines earmarked in the billions for new technology. The California portion, $1.8 billion, plus the already budgeted transportation funds. While Skytrain has worked with major universities and NASA's in technology guidance, we have vendors who could participate in this, keeping major construction portions like the stations, an elevated steel and concrete structure here in Florida. We are ready to build Skytrain and need your help. Any questions? We thank you for your time and for your support.
Thank you,
Senator, real quick, just real quick.
Real quick.
How much would it cost to do what you just said from the airport to the downtown St. Petersburg and the over to the Lightning Stadium?
I would say it depends how many stations, et cetera, you understand. I would say around 44 million a mile.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 21, Brian Bosnick with Eckerd Gifts.
Good morning. My name is Brian Bosnick. I'm the Executive Director of Eckerd Community Alternatives. I come to you today to thank you for your support on the legislative that the legislature provided for the child welfare system last year. I also want to share information about the state of child welfare. In addition, you have received written proposals to request funding for specific school personnel to be dedicated to support foster care students with their public school education. Eckerd Community Alternatives has been the lead agency for child welfare in Pinellas County since July 2008. We're a nonprofit founded in 1968 by Jack and Ruth Eckerd. Since that time, we have served over 200,000 children in child welfare, juvenile justice, and workforce development programs. In Pinellas County alone, Eckerd is responsible for, or Pinellas and Pasco County, Eckerd is responsible over 2,500 per day. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office has the responsibility of investigating every report alleging that another child in our community has been abused, abandoned, neglected. These investigations may result in the removal of a child from his home. The child has been placed in the foster care system or appropriate with family or friends. Over the past year, the number of removals has increased. This dramatic and unexpected increase results in a budget deficit, and this affects several services provided to children and families in our area. An increase in removals cannot be budgeted in advance. Last month, 70 children were removed from their homes by the Sheriff's Office. Eckerd Community Alternatives continues to be among the top performing community-based care lead agencies in the state. We ask for your support this year on several fronts. Adjusting the weights and allocation formula to incentivize lead agencies to reduce their out-of-home care population. Funding sufficient to maintain a continuum of care in the child welfare system. Funding provided for guidance counselors and social workers dedicated to foster care students in public schools. Thank you for your time and consideration, and assist us to provide much needed second chances to children in Pinellas and Pasco County. Any questions?
What's the leading cause of this surge in removals?
Domestic violence, substance abuse, and mental health. These are the contributing factors.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Foster.
So I thought the senator was asking the same question I was thinking, Mr. Chairman. My question to you is, all of a sudden there's a flood in all of the systems now. So I'm hearing that up to 5,000 kids some agencies now have, that they didn't have a year and a half ago. So my question to you is, all of a sudden there's been a shift where we are overburdened and overpopulated in the foster care system. What do you think is the number one reason that caused that? What changed? What created that?
I think there's, when you have a number of child deaths throughout the state of Florida, I think that contributed to it. We have protective investigators who are going out and doing the investigations. And again, this is a career-defining field, and when that's happening, many times you're going to err on the side of caution. And so,
the new tool that they're now using, particularly after the young girl was off the bridge, you don't think it has to do with that new tool that they're using that is now kind of filled in the system where it's more on the safe side than not?
yeah, I think that's a contributing factor.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Foster. Number 22, Jim Cantonis. A name well associated with all of us that know anything about Tarpon Spring. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I can see your eyes rolling back in your head, so I'm going to try to make this really, really quick. We sent you some information that you got in your packet. I would love the opportunity to come and speak to each one of you individually. But I'm president of Acme Sponge and Chamois Company, but I'm also a board member of Florida Oceans Alliance. I would just ask you that when you look at some of the information I gave you, if you look at the board of directors of this organization, it's an incredible organization. I would never dreamt that I would be on a board of directors of an organization, a sponge fisherman, who takes resource, although it is completely renewable, from the ocean, sitting next to Eric Draper of the Audubon Society and folks from Nature's Conservancy. It's an organization of almost every group that is interested in the health of our oceans to come together to make sure that our number one resource, 80% of our economy in the state of Florida, occurs within 20 miles of the water. It's our greatest opportunity for growth of our economy. There has not been an update of the economic study since 2013, and that was based on 2011 data. We are specifically asking for $300,000 to get current with the economic study of the oceans in the state of Florida. Specifically, we are looking for one or more of you to consider sponsoring the legislation. We are talking to others around the state, as you can see with that, with the board members. We are well represented from around the state. My family is involved in a lot of organizations in Hillsborough and Pinellas and Pasco counties, charitable organizations, statewide organizations. This is one of two because we think it's just that important. It's that important to Tarpon Springs, it's that important to Pinellas County, it's that important to the state of Florida. So I ask your consideration. Please read the material and answer my call when I pick the phone and call you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cantos. Any questions? All right. Representative Latwell volunteered to introduce your item in the House, which is under the new rules. That's, you got to have a bill in the House because of appropriation.
Thank you very much.
Number 23, Glenn Urbanus. And while he's coming, let me just say, we do need